These are redline brakes. These are the best brakes you can have on a Stearman. The originals, some people are lucky with them, but they were just misery for me. So basically, here's how these guys work. So these just came back from Pete Jones. I bought these about 16, 18 years ago. They were one of the first sets that were manufactured. And I got them for a good deal. I think it was $2,400. So the cylinders were upgraded. I just sent these out to Pete Jones, and he put new pads on them, checked everything, and got new cylinders. So the mechanism basically is you have, when you install it, this goes down. This is the input from your hydraulic pressure. This is your bleeder valve. And then there's a plate here that mounts on the landing gear, and this goes into the back of the plate. The plate is actually small enough that it'll fit through this inner ring of the disc. Then, when you press on the hydraulics, these drums come out and apply pressure. So you have this plate here which fits loosely here. And when pressure is applied, this gets pushed out. What that does is it takes this piece here, which is bolted, and this will be the fun part. When you put the wheel on, you have to get that inside the drum and then bolt it and wire it. But what's happening here is that this is fixed to the main structure. So when the diaphragms push the inner pad up, this entire structure pulls down and pulls this into the brake while pushing this onto the other side. But the fact that this is attached to the main bulk of this is what gives it the strength. If you just had a fixed device that pushed up this little flimsy pad here, it wouldn't last long. But what's happening here is this is compressing, but you have the mass of that against this very strong back plate, and then it slides this way, so the whole unit is pushing on and squinching up like this, and it gives it a beautiful bite. And in my experience, these brakes have never grabbed to the point where they lock the wheel. Now you can stand on the brakes so hard that you'll tip your airplane over and think that your propeller is actually hitting the ground, but it won't. However, your tail will be so high that when it comes down, you could damage your tail section. So you don't want to step on these brakes. They're very gentle. And you can even spray DW40 on them and they'll still work. So these are magnificent brakes. So that's how that works. This is going to be in the down position, and it'll be sitting like that. And over here, we'll see how the back plate is attached. So here, the piece we were just looking at is this. what you do is you install these little plates. Make sure you have a nice new pad when you go to the trouble of doing this. The hose goes to the bottom. So this will go from behind, fits in those little slots. Now to get this, the holes to line up on the bottom, you'll pull back on this hose a little bit. That'll free stuff up so that you can get these guys in. And they just snug up here. Then when we apply that other piece, this will be going in here. There'll be two bolts which are AN4-20s that have drilled heads, so that once you've bolted this in, you have to safety wire it so it doesn't come loose and you'd lose that piece in there. So once we get the wheel on, then we'll figure out how to get this little bugger inside the brake and try to get it in position. Here we're going to be installing the redline brakes. This landing gear was disassembled, inspected, and rebuilt by Pete Jones up in Mississippi. And I sent my redline brakes back there for him to update all the seals and the cylinder. So this piece here is fixed to the landing gear with 6 AN4-17 bolts. So before assembling this, to minimize corrosion in the future, I take this piece and run grease through all of the bolt holes. This is the interface between this piece and the landing gear. Which will be seeing its share of water and mud. This piece can go in any direction. You take each bolt. These are AN4-17s. We'll be putting one heavy washer on the inside, because if you put two, it protrudes a little bit. So we don't want that. So this will go here and line up with the back. Most likely you'll need 2 heavy washers on the back. Now, to tighten the bolt head, what we've done is we take a 7/16 socket and we put it on a lathe and we narrowed the tip so that we don't damage the anodizing on the aluminum. So that'll fit in there nicely. And then we'll be able to use the other one on the back to tighten our stainless steel lock nuts. So that'll simply go like that. Don't tighten them all the way because you're going to be able to move this to line up the holes. One bolt, one washer. Taking the time to lubricate these bolts now will be appreciated by whoever has to take this apart in the future. On the back we end up with two washers. You wipe the grease off the threads before you put your nut on. Grease changes the torque value of a tightened nut. Because torque, when you torque a nut and a screw, what you're doing is you're creating enough friction so that the natural tendency to unwind is overcome. If you lubricate it, then the friction is lessened by the grease, and so the torque value is not accurate. So we're using this. We're just going to snuggle them at first. So now, when you tighten that up evenly, you'll see the grease coming out here, and that means that you put enough grease on that back plate. Everything nice and tidy. So that's installation of the back plate.